Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I am doing something that I saw Ellen Catherine do, which was a bookshelf audit. And it's basically what she did in the video is she went through all of her shelves, counted out how many books on that shelf she had read and how many she hadn't read, and then gave a percentage for each shelf and then did a overall percentage of how much of her TBR she has read. So I won't be counting the majority of the ones, honestly any of the ones on the top, because those are all just decorative books, but it's going to be all of these shelves and then my little one here. So let's get started. I'm probably just going to go from my little shelf first and then we'll move over to the bigger ones. Okay, so for this bookshelf here, I only have 2 shelves of books because the other shelves below just have random stuff on them at the moment and they're free to put any new books on that I get. So yeah, let's go through the first shelf. Let's just move these out of the way. Okay, so on this shelf here, I've not read any of these. So I've not read Magnolia Parks by The Orchid and the Owl or The Run Out, and I've not read Archer's Voice. But I have read the entirety of the Percy Jackson series. I read this in high school. And I have read these 2 books in the Maximum Ride series. This is another one I read in high school. I do want to reread this series and actually finish it because I never finished it when I was in high school. So how many books are there on the shelf? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so there's 11 on this shelf. Let's just quickly calculate the percentage. Okay, I just checked and I've read 63.64% of this shelf up here, which I think is pretty good. Anything over 50% is pretty good in my opinion. Okay, so the shelf below. On this shelf, I've only read 3 of the books. So I've read See, Swear, Promise Me Not, and Corrupt. But I haven't read Trust Me Always, Nectar of the Wicked, Wrath of the Damned, Hideaway, Kill Switch, or Nightfall. But in all fairness, these ones are all brand new, and this one is brand new as well. So yeah. So I've literally read 3 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 books on the shelf. Oh, so I think that's 33%. Let me double check. So apparently I can do maths and I was correct. Yeah, I read 33% of that shelf. So now let's just straighten my camera and go on to these shelves. So this shelf here, I have my Throne of Glass collection and my ACOTAR books, and I can happily say I've read every single book on this shelf. So this shelf is 100% complete. I think that might be the only shelf on this bookcase that I can actually say that for. Okay, next we have my hardback, I guess you'd say fantasy / dystopian shelf. So let's count how many ones on this I've read. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've read 8 of them, and there's 13 books in total. So let's calculate the percentage of that. Okay, so we're around the 61% mark with this shelf. So you know what, another win for me. The next shelf, down, if we just angle the camera down a little bit. This shelf, I can also say is 100% because this is my Powerless shelf. I've got my hardback editions on here, and then I just have the paperback editions here at the end. So another shelf I can say 100% read. So I was lying before. I have 2 shelves that I can say are 100% read. I sadly just had to change the layout of this shelf around because my Throne of Glass books were about to fall over and I didn't want that happening, so yeah, it had to be moved. Okay, so moving myself out of the way and doing the last 2 shelves on this one, let's count how many books on this shelf I've read. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've read 11 books off of this shelf, and there's in total 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 21 books in total, and I've read 11 of them. So let's calculate that percentage. Okay, so it's around 52%. Not too bad, if I do say so myself. And then going down to my very bottom shelf, I have read quite a few of the books on this shelf. So there's 15 here up to Daylighters that I've read. I've not read Priest or The Luminaries or The Hunting Moon. So 15 up to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so I've read 21 books off of that shelf. And how many is there in total? So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27 books in total. Is that right? 15, yeah, 27. So I've read 21 of the 27. Okay, so for this shelf, I have read 77% of it, and that is not the best so far, but it's the highest one of the shelves that I haven't fully read the things. So, woo! Okay, so for this one, maybe I'm gonna have to. There's like books behind these ones. So there's more books on this shelf than it looks like there is. So let's count this shelf. We're officially onto my romance shelves, my precious babies, because they're just so nice and pretty and colourful. So let's count how many books on this shelf I've read. So I've read All the Boys of Tommen, so that's 6 there. I've read all of the off-campuses, so that's 5, so that's 11. I read all of these, so that's 15. I've read, I think there's just the Campus Diaries books here, yep. Just the Campus Diaries ones there, so let me just put them back. So yeah, that was 15 up to there, 16, 17, 18. So I've read 18 off of this shelf, and there's 19, 20, 21, 22. So there's 22 books on that shelf in total. Wait, did I say it's 22? Yeah, 22, and I've read 18 of them, so let's just do a bit of maths. Got an 81%, not too bad. Okay, next shelf. I feel like I've read the majority of this shelf. So I've read all of the Gold Rush Ranch series, so that's 4. I've read all of Chestnut Springs, so that's 9. 10 with Wild Love, because I read that recently. Yeah, 10, so then 14 with the Rebel Way Ranch series, 15 with Live Ranch Love, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I've read 23 out of the 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 books on the shelf. Okay, so for my, I guess this would be my cowboy romance / billionaire. Well, actually they don't class as billionaire. But whatever, it's my Anna Hong and cowboy romance shelf, and I've read 79% of that shelf. So, yay. Pretty decent, if I do say so. Okay, last shelf that we can actually see for right now before I have to move my tripod down again. So, let's just go through this one. I'm not going to count the second copy of Heartstopper that I have on here as a book on the shelf, because it's just another edition, because I have the regular edition and then I have the Netflix edition with the characters on it. So I'm not going to count that one when I'm counting all of the ones on the shelf, but yeah. Okay, so in total there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 books on the shelf in total. And I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of the books on this shelf. So let me just try and do maths, not easy for my small brain. Okay, after calculating that, I have read 75% of this shelf. I knew there was going to be a chunk here that I hadn't read because this is my TBR basket. But I have read actually quite a few books on this shelf, because this shelf homes some of my favourite books. So we have my Windy City series and my Heartstopper books, which we all know I adore. So, what a sleigh. Did I really just say that? Anyway, let's move on to the final 2 shelves on my bookcase. Okay, now for these last 2 shelves. I don't think I've read a lot of books on these shelves. I think these are the ones that are going to have the lowest percentages. Although, who knows, because I thought a lot of my shelves would have very low percentages, and turns out I've actually read quite a lot of my physical TBR. Okay, so this shelf, let's count how many there's in total. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, there's 24 in total. This one here doesn't count because this is a colouring book, so obviously I'm not going to count that. If you see my head pop into frame, it's because I've sat myself on the floor to do this shelf. So yeah, there's 24 in total. Let's count how many I've read off this shelf. So I've read all of the Maple Hills series, so that's 3. I've read these 2, so that's 5. 6 with 1,000 Boy Kisses, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 with The Bodyguard, 12 with The 7-Year Slip, and 13 with This Spells Love. So that's 13 out of 24. Okay, so it's like 54% of the shelf. So it's not the highest one, but it's not the lowest either. So I'm not going to complain. Okay, and now on to my very last shelf of books. And I think I've not read the majority of the books on this shelf. So let's count how many there is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay, so there's 28 books on this shelf in total. So let's count how many I have read. So I read Love of My Afterlife. So that's 1. I read all these 3 in the Vancouver Storm series, so that's 4. I read The Other Life and The Ferryman, so that's 6. I read Reminders of Him, which makes 7. I've read 1% of You, which is 8, and then I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. God, this one is going to be a very low percentage. Okay, yeah, so this shelf, I've only read 28% of it. I'm not even at 30%, so this is the worst shelf out of all of them. But I kind of expected this one to be the worst because I've really not read many books off of this shelf. I don't know why, because they're all ones I'm looking forward to reading. I just, whoops. Okay, so I am luckily fortunate enough that I am such a nerd that I have a TBR spreadsheet with all of the books I own on it and which ones I've read, so I don't have to luckily go through and count all of these books and then calculate how many I've read, because I did that a while ago. So currently I own 225 books. I've read 149 of them. And I still need to read 76, which is very good for me because this time last year I think I had like 120 books that I hadn't read. So I've slowly gotten it down by either reading them or selling books I just had no interest in. And with those calculations, that means that my percentage of books on my TBR that I have actually read is 65.78%, which I think is very good because I'm over the halfway mark. I do want to try and get to 70% of the way through my physical TBR by the end of the year, but that requires me not buying any more books, and I know I'm getting books for Christmas off of my friends, so... And I also have books that I want to buy because there's books in series that are like the sequels come out that I want to read. But with that said, that is the end of this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I enjoyed doing this. I liked going through all my shelves and seeing what percentage I've read off each shelf. And I think apart from my very bottom shelf down there, I've done pretty decent of reading most of the books on my shelves. But like I said, yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe and hit that little notification bell below so you know when I upload. I upload every Friday at 6 PM and every Tuesday at 5 PM with a reading vlog. And if you want to catch me anywhere else, I have all of my socials linked in my description. I have my Instagram, my TikTok, my Goodreads, everything like that. I'm trying to get back into posting on TikTok more regularly. I took a break for a little while because I just needed to, but I try to post on my TikTok every single day, and then I try and post on Instagram once a week if I have inspiration for photos, which as of right now I do not. I need to find some inspiration. But yeah, that's it. I will catch you guys next time.